All right, we're going to get started in just a moment or so. It is at the top of the hour where I am. We're going to get started very shortly. Just going to allow some folks to trickle in. It's going to be great to go over some cool tools that email marketers or any kind of marketer would need to know about. Glad you can join us. Go ahead and drop in the Q&A section where you're from. I'd love to learn where people are from. See what part of the world and what part of the country that we have folks in today. Dawn from Maryland, welcome. And Jeff from the Bay Area. Sorry to hear about all the fires in that area. One of my team members is actually in Sonoma right now. Probably not having a great vacation, but hopefully all will go well. We got Las Vegas, Kelly, Denver, Rebecca, love Denver, been there once so far. Lancaster, Danielle, Connecticut is Chris. We have Doug from British Columbia, welcome from Delta. And John, actually a colleague of mine from Ottawa. Welcome, John. Give me some support. Hopefully you can let me know what I do well, maybe not so well today. Dana from Scottsdale. We got a bunch of folks chiming in. I think this is one of the most participation I've had when I've asked this question. Got a friendly group today. And from Chicago, that's Effie. We have Peter from Fresno. And we have Kim from Edmonton. And Jeff is asking if I'm at a stand-up desk. Yes, I am. It's actually a motorized desk. I built the top myself, put it on a motorized desk so that it can go up and down. I really love to present standing up because I think it's a way for me to be more engaging, use hand gestures, move around a little bit, and not feel kind of stifled sitting in a chair, because it's all about you today, folks. So I want to give you value and make sure we're covering the things you need. This is actually a fun topic. With that, it's 2 after. We can jump right in and get started. I'm just checking all my settings, making sure I have everything I need on my side, and I'll try to monitor the chat as we go as well. We're here today to go over some cool tools marketers need to know about. And let me introduce your speaker today, which is me, Hank Hoffmeier. I am the Senior Manager of Client Solutions at Campaigner and J2 Global. I am the digital marketing infotainer because I like to make marketing fun and successful. I'm going to let you be the judge of that today. And without further ado, let's start talking about some cool tools. I've been in marketing a long time. I've been in email marketing for about 10 years now. And one thing I've learned is if you don't keep track of cool things like tools and information, you might not remember them, and you might need that information at a later point. I put together a document and I called it Hank's Handy Links. And it started out as a document for me to put down all these cool things I find or information I need to remember, not passwords, because you never should share those on like a Google Doc or anything, right? What I did is I put all these links to these tools and I started sharing it with team members. And to this day, it's got a bunch of things on there that's really helpful, broken down by category now. And I find myself having to go back in, especially preparing for today's session. I found some of these links don't work anymore. Companies go out of business, websites get taken down, all these things. I went through and curated some of the cool ones I thought were really helpful. Some of these you might be wowed by. Some of these you might say, I'll probably never use that. And some of them you'll say, I already know about that. But I wanted to share what I have up here and what I've learned over the 10 years in email marketing and things that work well with email marketing with you today so that I can make you a better marketer, or at least you can maybe show your friends and colleagues in the marketing space, look at all these tools I found. I'm really cool. Here, I'll share them with you. Definitely encourage you to use the Q&A section for chat as well as questions, and I'll try to go through as much as I can. But just remember, it's just me today, and I don't have my clone with me to go through the questions in real time, but I'll kind of stop and check those along the way. And that's pretty much the primer to start discussing these tools. What I'd like to do is first go over some technical items. When you send emails, there's a lot of things that happen in the background. Probably, people think you go in, you create an email, you go to hit send, and it just shows up in the recipient's inbox, right? Then they click it, and then you make money. Or maybe a unicorn picks it up, puts some unicorn tears on it, some glitter, and then delivers it to the inbox of your recipients, right? Not that cut and dry. It doesn't just automatically go into people's inboxes. So you want to make sure you're testing. You want to make sure you have all these technical items, and we're going to talk about set up and test them correctly. Mailtester.com is the first one. And again, there's the handout in the handout section. If you want to play along and go to these websites, for most of these, I don't plan on going to the websites. I do have screenshots. and I'll cover what they do, and I'll leave it up to you and give you some homework to go and test those out. Mailtester.com allows you to check your SPF and DKIM keys. This is sender policy framework, and then domain keys identified mail. Every time you send an email, the recipient server is checking to see, hey, this is being sent by Campaigner. Does Campaigner have permission to send this email on your behalf? In other words, are they spoofing you? That would be SPF. That means that we have permission to send your email. You should have that set up on your account, or whatever email service provider you use, you should have an SPF record set up. If you need help with that, we can help you. You can Google it, or hopefully your provider can help you do that. Now, DKIM is basically end-to-end encryption. It means when that person sent the email and until it was received, it was not altered or changed in any way en route. We hold the key, and then the recipient would hold the other side and on the other key and then say, nothing's been changed. Again, another setting you should have regardless of provider. And these are things that we can help you set up. Once you feel like you have it set up correctly, you can go in and put in a domain name and a DKIM selector, which we would give you or your provider should give you. Go ahead and check it, make sure it's valid, and make sure it's going to work correctly. Again, the deck is in the handout section if you want to follow along, and I'm just checking the Q&A section to see if there's anything that came up for this particular item. I do not see anything, so we'll go ahead and move on. Use the question and answer box if you want to kind of cover something a little bit more in detail. Each slide has a link, and at the end of the PDF, there's also a selection of all the links that I included in today's presentation, trying to make your work a lot easier today. mxtoolbox.com. This allows you to see, is my domain or the IP addresses I'm using on a blacklist? Are my emails being blocked and not even getting to the inbox or anywhere near the inbox of the recipients that need to get this email? This is a great way to check that. Now, don't get freaked out if there's one or two items on there. Some of them have more weight than others. Some of them that you'll see you're always showing up on there as orange or maybe even red. But what you want to do is make sure, like Spam Assassin and then there's some other providers, you want to make sure you're not on those lists. If you have questions, let us know, let your account manager know, your client success rep, or just ask someone. And if you don't use Campaigner, reach out to me. We can kind of look at your results and see where you're at. But this is a great way to check to see if you're on any blacklists that block your emails from getting into the inbox. This is a tricky situation. Every time you send an email, there are good things and bad things that happen to an email. Good things would be opens, clicks, forwarding, printing, all those things, right? Positive. Negative things would be bouncing, unsubscribing, marking as spam, and most importantly, not engaging with your email at all, ignoring it and not opening it. And every time that happens, it kind of raises and lowers something called your domain reputation. It's like a credit score. It can go up or down depending on the good and the bad things I just mentioned, how they happen in real time. And Gmail might be a good example here because they have a really sophisticated algorithm. Let's say that you're sending to 100 Gmail recipients and 50% of them either are bouncing, unsubscribing, complaining, or they're just ignoring your emails, and the other 50% are doing good. That's probably not a good score, a good domain reputation. Therefore, a lot of emails you send will probably end up in the spam folder. Now, people that are highly engaged will continue to get it in the inbox. The biggest question when I do these types of sessions or webinars is, how do I check my domain reputation? It's kind of hard because you're using the IP address of your email provider and then you're using your domain. It's kind of a mix of both in some ways, but reputationauthority.org can kind of give you an idea. And here's my domain, hankhoffmeier.com. You'll see it's kind of like a 50%, but green, good. That just means that I don't use my domain and my own IP addresses to send email. Therefore, it's hard for them to judge and measure accurately my domain reputation. You might see big, large, huge brands that do all of their own stuff with their own servers. They can have an accurate representation. But I feel as long as you're not yellow or red, you're doing pretty well. Take this with a grain of salt, folks. I don't want you to use this as the end all be all. If you're at 50 like I am, don't worry about it because that means you're doing okay there. It's just hard to measure when you're using somebody else's IP addresses in your domain. All right. I'm just reading a question here from Dana. I email certificates to a list of attendees that attended our class. Stats show all sent and received, yet many attendees call to say have not received it. Probably there might be a domain reputation issue there, or previous habits from similar subscribers. It could be the algorithms, or it could be your domain reputation. Dana, if you're a campaigner customer, reach out to us. We definitely want to talk to you about that, or just reach out to me separately. If you just Google Hank Hoffmeier, you'll find me. Just reach out to me. Remind me you were on today's webinar. I'd be happy to have a call with you if you're using someone else. We could try to get to that. It is kind of one-to-one for everyone on this call today. If you're looking to improve your email marketing statistics, opens, clicks, deliverability is probably going to be a different prescription for each of you because you're in a different industry, you send different volumes of email, different types of content, and you have different engagement. Therefore, it's always warranted to have the strategy provided uniquely to you, which is what our account managers do. All of our accounts that are managed, they have that dedicated person that they can talk to, go over their results, and try to make things better and get better results. So that's reputationauthority.org. And I need to go back over and put the emphasis on the slides. Kickbox, kickbox.com. Now, I do have to have a disclaimer. Kickbox.com is owned by J2 Global, which owns Campaigner, but it's a great way for you to verify emails. I'm not telling you to go out and buy a list and send to it and check it, for bounced emails or invalids, because that is not a good thing to do because of what I just mentioned about domain reputation, but also it's against our terms and service. But if you find you're getting a lot of bad traffic and misspellings through your sign-up forms, Kickbox is a great way to say, hey, this is invalid because it's spelled wrong, or we think this is not really a great email address or a good email address. You might not want to include it. You can use their APIs, or you can upload lists to them. They are new to our family, and we encourage people to use them for the right reasons. And again, if you have questions about using people for the right reasons, definitely reach out to us because there are other providers. But I feel Kickbox, and the reason why we acquired them, does all the right things, and it's worth having a conversation or looking into what they do. And David is saying, in addition to SPF and DKIMs, you heard from IT about something called DMARC. I didn't want to go into the weeds because that is kind of an optional thing. DMARC is another option that says, hey, if somebody doesn't have SPF and DKIM set up, or I mean, if they do, what should we do with this email? Should we accept it? Should we not accept it? That one is just a little bit different. We can have another discussion around that. And you notice that wasn't on a tool that I recommended because it is optional. But that one sometimes can give false positives if you don't have everything set up correctly, and it can stop people from getting emails. But I would say look into it. I recommend it if you want to do it. I say it's the trio, do all three. But I didn't recommend it because it's not something you have to do. These are cool tools that you must know about today, whereas DMARC kind of nice to have. Some people might yell at me and say I should probably promote it more, but DMARC, if you can look into it, definitely do it. It does definitely require setup on your side for that. Kickbox, pretty much what they do is they verify email addresses, and that's from Jeff. So let's say you have a list of emails, or you have a form and you want to feed it to them in real time. They're going to let you know if that email address is valid. Maybe somebody spelled gmail.wrong, G-M-I-A-L instead of G-M-A-I-L. Wow, I can actually spell today. It'll say this might not be correct. And if it's a well-known issue, sometimes they can actually help you in real time. If you want to talk about it, reach out to us or them. But yeah, they definitely help with providing clean data. And we have a large client of ours that sends information to them every now and then and see if they're live and valid email addresses. They have the ability to look and see to a certain extent if email addresses are valid or not. Hopefully that helped to answer that question. All right, let's go on to the next tool, Email on Acid. It is just as fun as it sounds. Every time you send an email, people are going to open it on different devices. It can be a laptop, it can be an iPad, it can be a phone, and they're going to use Outlook, they're going to use Gmail, and a bunch of different clients. Your email is probably going to render differently in all of those clients. One thing that Email on Acid does is they give you the ability to look at your email on clients that you choose, or pretty much all of the popular ones that are out there. In other words, you send a test to Email on Acid, they're going to show you what your email looks like on all those different devices. And if there's any issues, because if you've been doing email marketing for a while, you probably know Outlook, especially on a PC, breaks emails a lot and often, and you'll be able to see what's broken and fix it before you actually send your email out. They also let you know if your email potentially can go into the inbox or the spam folder. They check spam filters. That's another option they have there. And they also have heat mapping as well, so you can see where people are clicking. That would be by adding tracking code to the email before you send it out. The testing or the previews is just simply sending a test email. They have other ways to do it, but in simplistic reasons, you just send a test email to a seed list. Then we have Litmus, same exact thing. They're just a different company that do everything similar. I think the only thing they don't have is the heat mapping. You might want to compare one over the other. I recently just spoke at the Litmus Live conference, which was a couple of weeks ago. That was really fun, but they do the same thing. They allow you to see your email on different email clients and do some testing. They're a really great company as well. Highly recommend both of those if you're looking to see how well your email renders and maybe do some inbox placement testing. All right, let's move on to design, planning, and strategy. And this is kind of the meat and potatoes. There's a few different topics in here that we're going to talk about. So let's dig in. Here's a cool one, Diff Now. And what you can do is you can add text, you can upload HTML, you can put in URLs, and I think video samples. And what they'll do is they'll tell you what's different about each version. Maybe you're coding an email in HTML, and then you go away for a day or two and you come back and you say, did I edit this? Did I not edit this? So you can paste the two versions in there or what you think is two versions, and it'll let you know what's different about each one, especially if you're doing website updates. It's helpful too, so not only for email marketing, but I really like it tells you what's different. So maybe you had a paragraph of text and you changed 2 words and your eyeballs are just not working. Mine do that, especially on Fridays around 3 or 4 o'clock. What you might want to do is check and see what's different about those. And that's diffnow.com. Buzzstream.com. I found this one helpful, and it's something that I don't use all the time, but I'm just so glad it's there. Sometimes you might want to say, you know, I sent an email and I think one of my links are broken. I think I fat fingered it and I just don't know what's wrong. What you do is you could take the HTML, paste it in that little box right there, and then it'll spit out a CSV or an Excel file kind of, and it'll let you see all the links in that HTML. And you can go in, oh, wow, I spelled that wrong. I spelled my own domain wrong. How dumb of me. Let me go ahead and correct that before I send it out. This has saved my butt a few times. I hope it'll save yours. Subjectline.com. A lot of these I'm talking about are paid or free. This one is free for the first one, and you just sign up for an account. I believe you get some free there. It was probably important for me to note those on each, but some of these I don't use all the time and they may have changed. Litmus, Email on Acid, those are paid. All the other items for the technical, those are all free. Subjectline.com, again, I could do one test here and then I just need to sign up for an account to get some more. And it allows you to enter your subject line and they'll tell you if they think it's good or not. Maybe you don't want to do split testing, which you should, but you want to test your subject line out, go ahead and use subjectline.com. And then we have, so here's the results I did on one. I scored 100 out of 100. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. My deliverability results are good and my marketing results are good. They would give me advice if I needed it, but I guess I'm so good I don't need advice. But I guess in reality, I would know how good it is based on my open rates. That's really gonna be the ultimate test. And then maybe I'd wanna use experiments in Campaigner to try a couple different versions of my subject line to see if I can get better results. CodePen.io. If you don't know what a preheader is an extension of your subject line. It's the first bit of text in your email at the top of your email right after your subject line. It allows you to create an extension of your subject line. Hank, we have a sale today. Would be in bold and say Gmail, and then next to that it'll say free shipping on orders over $30. That could be my preheader. It's like what Robin is to Batman. They're pretty much a great team, and it's the dynamic duo. You should always have a subject line, always have a pre-header. And if you want to see what it looks like before you send out an email and say, you know, on a phone, right here, it says special offer for you. Then right below that is the free shipping, and it shows you what it would look like. It's a pretty cool tool. I would say use it as often as you can. addevent.com. A lot of times folks have events and you want to link to that event and say add it to your calendar so you don't forget to attend. Addevent.com is a great way to do that. You go and create the event, you can grab the little snippet, put it into your email, and voila, it'll go on Google, it'll go on Outlook, and a couple of other different types of accounts. I believe they have a free version and paid version, so that's important to note. Freemaptools.com. If you have been following me or have been on any strategy sessions, webinars, conferences that I've spoken at or been on, I'm always talking about targeting and using segmentation based on information you have. And one bit of information is always location information. Maybe you want to target people in a certain area according to where they live. You can get zip code radiuses. In other words, plug in a zip code and go ahead and get the, say, 20 or so mile radius around that zip code, all of the zip codes. And then you can go in and create a segment in your email provider or in Campaigner. This one's pretty cool. It's free, Free Map Tools, free is in the name. Emailgallery.com. Maybe you're just simply looking for some inspiration. You want to say create a new look and feel to your newsletter, rebrand it or whatever. That's a great way to go in and take a look at some emails. You can browse, you can search. It's pretty cool. They have different layouts that you can look at, different colors or type of business. Maybe you're in finance, which is a category. You can click on finance and then look at one column emails and just get some inspiration there. Keep any questions coming, guys. And if you have any cool tools, go ahead and drop them in there. And what we could do is probably review them at the end here and just let other people know about tools that you're using that I might not have included today. Go ahead and use that Q&A section. Mockflow.com. Sometimes you just want to go in and create a mock-up of an email before you're building it. Sometimes that's double the work, but sometimes you just want to brainstorm, say how would a hero image and then 3 images underneath type of email look before I go ahead and start creating it. Let me just go ahead in here and start looking at it beforehand. This one I don't use often, but I thought I'd include it because some people like to maybe use this tool because it's just pretty cool looking and pretty easy to use. Ecell.ly allows you to take Word content and create an infographic around it. You can create a free account, but it is pay to play at some point. I believe you get a certain amount for free, but it's a way to take some content you have from a blog or whatever and turn it into an infographic and share that on your social media channels or anywhere else. Canva.com, one of my favorite tools for everything. I create a lot of different assets here. It's free, but then they have their pro version, which gives you more assets, or you could pay, I believe, like $1 an asset for their premium assets. It's really cool if you need to go in, especially create an image for your email and you want to put text over the top, you want to put lines on it. Of course, you could do that in Campaigner to an extent, but Canva is just so much better at going in and quickly creating different size graphics with different elements. They even do like GIFs now and short videos. Really cool tool. If you haven't tried that, I definitely recommend it. Here's something I did a while back of upcoming events that I had where I was speaking. I use it for live events that I have and also for my podcast, which is the HMBT podcast, Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. I create all of my episode banners in there so that they look professional. It's really cool. Highly recommend it. Again, free, but then they have their pro versions. Placeholder.com pretty much is what it says it is. It's free. You can go in and create a placeholder image. Maybe you're building an email and you want to see what it's going to look like with certain size images while you're waiting to have those created from your design team. You can go in, specify the dimensions you need and get a placeholder image with those dimensions. Really cool, nifty. Take that, upload it to your library, and then have it there for all times. And just say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to format it out and I'll replace those images later. Really cool tool. Remove.bg, really love this site. It's free. You upload an image and it does a really good job of removing the background and turns it into a PNG so that you can use it in Canva. You can use it anywhere so that there's no background, or if you want to put that image on top of something else and it just doesn't have whatever background it is there, square, rectangle, or whatever, free, Love it. It's a great tool. Then we have play buttons. So maybe you're including links to videos in your emails. This allows you to go in and create an image. You upload your thumbnail, an image. It'll put a play button on there in different styles. Then you export that, and it allows you to upload it to Campaigner or whatever email service provider you have. Drop it in your email, get it people to click through and watch a video. Loremipsum.io, really love this, especially for filler text. We were just talking about placeholder images. So maybe you want to get really crazy and start drafting an email and have placeholder text, but also have those placeholder images. Lorem Ipsum is going to allow you to create a bunch of different varieties of options for you for text. So I put in 2 paragraphs here, but you can do 3, 4, 5. It'll generate. Then there's the copy button. Just put that right in your email. Really cool for filler text. Our designers use this site all the time. Landingfolio.com. If you haven't built a landing page in Campaigner, try it out. It's a great way to quickly spin up a website, web page, landing page. And maybe you want to get some inspiration, so go to landingfolio.com. Again, they have templates, they have resources, get inspiration, how you want to develop your landing page, and maybe take some ideas from what you see, incorporate that to what you're building. Gratisography, so these are going to be websites that provide free, royalty-free images, but I'd say be careful with using them because sometimes there's caveats to them. Always look at the terms and services before you use any one of these. So this one is gratisography, pretty much free pictures. So you go in, search for what you need there. I've always found, I use Pixabay, but they don't always have what I need. Therefore, I use a couple of different sites, but then sometimes I'll use 123rf.com or I'll use other sites that are paid as well. But it's good to have all these different resources so that you have options. Littlevisuals.co if you need landscape or nature pictures. This is a great site, free again. Then we have startup stock photos. So these are going to be technology based. They're going to be startup based. So that is your industry or that is you, if you're just getting started, this would be a good resource. Focus Stock, so that one's free videos, photos, and templates, free for commercial use. Pixabay, I just mentioned those. I usually find great images there, and they have great quality. If you don't join or sign up for a free account, you'll have to use the Google CAPTCHA every time you want to download. But if you just create an account and it's free, you don't have to go through that process and select all of the traffic lights, on the grid, which I don't like to do. So that's pixabay.com. Burst.shopify.com. So Shopify has their own offering with images. Pretty cool. Check that one out. So hopefully you can add all these, to a list and just start checking them for images when you need them. Unsplash.com. I say Unsplash is number 2. Pixabay is number 1 for me. Unsplash is second for me. All right, let's talk about integrations, because if you're using email marketing, you probably should be integrating into other platforms, e-commerce, CRM, surveys. The more data you have going one way or back and forth, the better. The more you can send the right message at the right time to the right person. I would say if you have a need to integrate with, say, a survey or a sign-up form that's a different provider other than Campaigner, you can use Zapier to go ahead and say, hey, if there's a new form fill out on this site, send it over to Campaigner. We are actually working on a Zapier integration. We are going to be live hopefully by the end of the year. I'm actually working on it a little bit, so hopefully that will come out sooner rather than later, but that's a great way to get data back and forth. It's kind of like a push-pull relationship. It'll pull data from somewhere and push it, and vice versa, but it's not really a true sync platform, but they have hundreds of apps to connect with, even outside of email marketing. Maybe if somebody fills out a form or fills out a survey and you want to send it to Salesforce, you could do that. You could send it to Campaigner. It's a great thing to look at, and it's really affordable as far as cost. Then we have PieSync. PieSync is more of a true, let me go back, is more of a true sync where you say, hey, I have people coming into Salesforce and then I want to send them over to Campaigner. You could definitely do that, and it keeps the data in sync. It's going to check every few minutes if there's any changes, and it will go ahead and keep that data in sync. We are already on there, Campaigners on there. So if you're looking to connect a CRM, if you're looking to connect a survey tool or something, go ahead and check that out. We'd be happy to talk to you about those and help you get situated with either Zapier or PieSync. Zapier is coming very soon. PieSync is right now. But if you have any other data integration needs, talk to us. We do have APIs that you can use, or maybe we can help you find something that somebody else has built and get you situated there. And I just put in a couple of different bonuses here just to round us out. And then these are ones that were on my list, but I didn't feel like they fit into a category and/or they're not awesome for marketers. But for fun stuff, cannedemails.com, you go in and actually click on one of these here and it'll give you some funny replies. Sometimes they're okay, they're simple, professional, but I like the cancel service and get a refund. Break up with someone on a personal note, that one's pretty hilarious. It's kind of like, sorry it didn't work out, we're breaking up. Just if you want to have a little bit of a laugh and just take a look at some of those. You might not always use them, but I don't know why I marked that, but I thought I'd include that today. And then obviously we're all on Zoom right now. Shutterstock actually has some free virtual backgrounds that you can use. There are other providers that you can probably Google, say free Zoom virtual backgrounds. But there are some cool ones here from Shutterstock that allow you to look really cool in your home office or from your kitchen or your bedroom or wherever you're working these days. That kind of rounds out all of the assets. This, like I said, it's kind of informal, fun. Just wanted to share a bunch of assets that I found and tools I found that I thought were cool. Let me know if this was helpful at all in the chat right now, not later. Were any of these that stood out to you? Did you know about some of these? Do you want to talk about some of them in detail? Do you want me to bring up one of them in my browser and talk about them? I want to know. And more importantly, did we provide value in today's webinar? I'm just going to take a look at it. Looks like we did have a couple things come in. Yeah, so Brian's asking if we'll send out all these sites to the attendee list. Number one, there is the handout. You can grab that and go to Webinar Console, and we will follow up with a link to the PDF/slides, so you have those. And then also this will be, it is being recorded and it'll be on YouTube to consume later. I guess we could put a link into the comments or the description for the YouTube channel. So wherever you like to consume this content, it'll probably be there. And okay, handouts. All right, so any cool tools you have? Somebody has to have at least one cool tool. I haven't seen one yet because I want to add to my list, and it's your time to provide some value to me so that I can add to my list and maybe have a part 2 of this webinar. Cool tools, feedback, anything? And we started out strong and everybody was typing in where they're from, asking questions, and hopefully I didn't put you to sleep. That'd be my worst nightmare if I put everybody to sleep. All right, any chance Campaigner will add a survey tool, or can you recommend one? I recommend SurveyMonkey and then connecting them through either PieSync or soon to be Zapier. I believe SurveyTown is an option, but it's not that robust. We can always talk about that in the future. Are the virtual backgrounds from Shutterstock stable? Some seem to pixelate. That's from Dana. I've downloaded 1 or 2 and they seem to be pretty good. But I also think it is the quality of the image, and I believe Shutterstock hopefully is providing quality. They look pretty good here in the thumbnails, but I hope that they are. And I think I have definitely, I know of one that I'm using from there, and it worked out really well for me. Make sure that if you're Googling it and you see it, never ever share it from or save it from the Google results, because that's not the original version. You always want to click through and get that original version. Pros and cons of having the campaigner footer on emails. Well, Barbara, it depends on what you mean by that, because you need to have a footer that needs to identify who you are because of canned spam, enacted in 2003. Basically, you need to identify who you are and who the email's coming from, and also the unsubscribe mechanism so that they can unsubscribe. The cons are that you have to have it there and it's legal. But yeah, you have to have that. If you meant something different, Barbara, please let me know. Do any of these additional tools allow an image to enlarge on the screen? That's from Cheryl. Cheryl, I don't really fully understand that. Do any of these additional tools allow? So are you trying to like make an image bigger, like you would in Photoshop or something, or manage an image? Let me know. I definitely want to answer that. I think codes are cool to emails. QR code-monkey.com. I love that. That's from Brian. Brian, I think QR codes are kind of making a comeback. I see restaurants now, they on their counter or on the tables, they actually have QR codes that bring up the menu because of the pandemic. I think they're going to make a comeback. People and marketers started to try to use them, but I don't think they caught on. But I think the pandemic's actually helping. So that was qrcode-monkey.com. I'm going to add that to my list. So thank you. And Jeff says, I use Campaigner's full HTML editor. Why does Campaigner offer a test for view for desktop and mobile, but not for tablets? Great question. I am going to put product feedback in for that. That is something that we probably should do. I think many providers only offer the two. I think I have an iPad Pro, so it kind of renders the desktop version if I have it in landscape, but there are smaller tablets out there, and it's good to know how it's going to look on a tablet. But I think it really just comes down to the width of the email. It's probably going to show a smaller version of the desktop on the tablets most times, but it may scale it down depending on, I know Apple does a good job, but sometimes Samsung tablets and stuff don't. But thank you for that. I'll put that in for you, for everyone actually. Dawn says Adobe Stock has Zoom backgrounds. I'm guessing they're free, so check out adobe.stock or Adobe Stock. And Barbara said, yes, it's the footer. So thank you. So I think I covered that one. Creative Market also has templates that you can use in Canva, fonts, images, and all kinds of stuff. That's creative marketing. Brian says, drawing winners from contests, have all the entries in a CSV and use random.org. I think I've heard of that one, but I never really wrote that one down. That's a good one. Contests are a good way to get people to engage, interact, and maybe sign up using a sign up form. Random.org, love that one. I've not used it myself. Do you know anything about a Grammarly platform that you can proof and provide feedback for content? Yeah, Grammarly usually is the one. There's another one, Hemingway, I think it's called. But be careful when using those with any provider too, because if you have, say, the browser add-on, sometimes it can inject code into whatever editor you're using, and that can be anyone, not just Campaigner. We've had issues with people having emails rendering incorrectly because the add-on is injecting code into the email editor, and you might just want to use the website and not use the add-on there. If you have any problems or concerns in your Campaigner customer, let us know. Cheryl says, so I put an image in the email and want the viewer to be able to click on the image. Oh, when it pops up. Okay. So for the most part, that happens on websites. That is JavaScript in the background. It's a script that runs. You click on it and it pops up. They used to call them shadow boxes. Now they're just pop-ups. For security reasons, you should not and pretty much cannot use JavaScript in email code because it can be malicious and people can get infected with computer viruses, which is why that would not happen. You're better off just linking to the larger version of the image. Potentially connectivity to Microsoft Forms. That might be through PySync or through Zapier, stuff like that. I wonder if you're talking about like Azure and I forgot what their CRM is, Dynamics. I would need more information on that, but we might be able to work something out. I love how all these are coming in now. Dawn is saying the pandemic absolutely made QR codes more relevant. So yes, use QR codes, put them in emails, put them on your website, stamp them on your forehead, get that exposure. All right, I'm getting some praise just about some great stuff today. Any tools, how to test an email looks on different providers. That was Litmus, and also that was Email on Acid. By providers, it'll let you know how it looks on Gmail on an iPhone, Outlook on a Windows 10 computer, etc. Wistia Soapbox from my buddy John. Create video to include it in your landing page. It's a great free way to go in and quickly create a video. It can even include, I think, screenshots of your or video of your computer as well. Oh, a cool one that I have, especially if you're small, I should have included this, is Bonjoro. It allows me to get an alert. I have it set up through Zapier. Every time I get a new email subscriber on my website, hankhoffmeier.com, sends me an alert. And what I do is it brings it up and I can record like a video. So what I do is I do a quick thank you. Hey, John, thanks for signing up for my newsletter. You can unsubscribe at any time, but I hope I can provide value to you, and I'll see you in your inbox soon. I hit send and off it goes. I can even edit it. There's a free version up to a certain amount, but Bonjoro is great for doing that. If you want to create a welcome video for every new subscriber you get. And Melissa's asking about a recording. Yes, that will be provided. What was the QR code URL? I might have to go back to that one. QRcode-monkey.com. All right, so any tools or websites that allow you to easily add YouTube videos to an email newsletter, meaning that it creates a snapshot of you. Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. What I would say is use like a social media tool to pull in and paste the URL, and it gives you the thumbnail. Then I would just say do a screenshot of that thumbnail. Or if you've created your own thumbnails, I use Canva for that, but I also use another tool called Thumbnail Blaster. It's pretty cool, but you got to pay for more a lot. I sometimes use one or the other. And then also, just to get off track for a second, Clipscribe. If you guys do videos and you need subtitles and you want to put graphic overlays on your videos, Clipscribe is great for that. The AI is really good as far as accuracy with the transcription and the subtitles, and I find that to be a cool tool. I believe I think it's like $45 for the year for their basic plan. But yeah, probably I don't know of a cool tool that would automatically pull the thumbnail and then put an overlay button on it. But Campaigner, I think, puts an overlay button if you add an image, so you just need the thumbnail. Sorry to disappoint you there, Damon, but I don't know of any tools offhand. Maybe someone in chat knows. Surveys and Microsoft Forms. Jeff, we probably have to connect separately. I'll probably shoot you an email, see if we can talk more about that. Can Zapier PySync work in place of developing an API to load into Campaigner from Facebook? Possibly. I think Zapier definitely can. And like I said, that's coming shortly. PySync, I'm not sure. There's another service called LeadsBridge that does that, but I don't think they're connected to Campaigner currently. But Brian, that's another one. I'll probably reach out to you one-on-one. Can you recommend a tool to create video that has easy editing? I use a bunch of tools depending on what I need. So it depends on what you mean by easy. Like, are you going to do it on your iPhone? Are you going to do it on a computer? I use Luma Fusion on my iPhone and my iPad. It's as close as you can get to, say, like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, and really easy to use and finger friendly. You obviously have iMovie on the iPhone. Then you can move into like Camtasia if you need to do product videos, like if you have a SaaS product. That one's decently easy to use. There's probably multiple apps for iOS that do that. Then there is Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, both paid. And then there's also, I'm forgetting one now, DaVinci Resolve. So there's a free version of that. That's just like Final Cut and Adobe Premiere. I would say start with an easy one and work your way up like I did. I started out very simple with email editing, video editing. Then I moved over to Final Cut Pro and I've never been happier. There's a learning curve, but once you learn it, you're efficient. You can get things done quicker because you know how to use the tool and you know keyboard shortcuts. I would say start with something like LumaFusion or iMovie and maybe Camtasia if you need to, and then move your way up. That's from Dana. Can you post all the newly mentioned tools as long as I remember them, or I have them here in the chat? I could probably add them to the follow-up email. And Gmail is about to allow videos to run within their emails. So Yeah, that's an ongoing debate, and I think that's only with AMP email. So pretty much, could we say try to add it to our drag and drop editor or even our other tool? Possibly, we'd have to look into that and test it, but I believe it's only for AMP, and that requires a lot more coding. And that's something that um, right now we do not provide. I don't really know of any providers that offer AMP encoding right now, but if you are a coder yourself, you can code your email in AMP. In other words, you have to create a couple different versions because you have to have an AMP and a non-AMP version, kind of like how it used to be with mobile where you had to code things differently. But we definitely always want to be on the lookout for that because right now I think only 20% of email clients render video. Some of them don't do it well because there are providers out there that serve it up, but not all email clients actually play them. Again, I think a lot of it comes around to security and all that, but AMP is really something that's getting more and more popular, and I've been to some sessions at conferences for that. And Jeff is saying, does Office 365 include Outlook? And does it have the same issues as native Outlook? I believe the online version renders pretty well. There's a document I just shared the other day, and I think I reread that snippet, and I think that does a pretty good job of rendering pretty much Outlook on a PC is using Word as the rendering engine. It's plopping it into Word and showing it to you, and it has all the formatting, page breaks. That's part of the reason why it doesn't look well on a PC installed, Outlook. On the web, you're definitely going to have a better experience there. But Office 365 online. Now, if you're talking about as a service, like you have an Office 365 account, but you're using Outlook on a PC, you're going to have that same issue. But if you're checking on a web, you'll probably have a different experience there. Great question. Peter says, you have any good resources for free music overlays? I gave up on the free music, but I would say YouTube, and create a YouTube channel, even if you're not going to use it. Just don't publish anything. They offer some free music. Some of them you just have to attribute the song to the author. Other ones are 100% free. It's the only quality content I've found that's free. But I use audio blocks right now, but there are other ones. Sometimes it's just worth paying it. Pro tip, if you're going to use LumaFusion, which I recommended for video editing, I believe it's $79 for the year. You get an audio block subscription within the app. So you get access to a certain portion of all their music for that price, where I believe it's like $159-ish if you don't do it through LumaFusion. Jeff says, quick QR code generator is Google Chrome extension that works well. Great to know. So I guess just search for that. I have a Google Chrome extension. I believe you just punch in color picker, and you click on that and you click on your screen, it'll give you the color. So maybe you want to match a color from your website or another website in your email or something, or if you're designing an image. That's a pretty cool one. The more I talk here, the more I have to remember to put in our follow-up, right? So I mentioned Bonjoro. I'm just going to write down a couple of them. Keep those questions coming if you need to. Bonjoro, color picker. Okay, I'm just going to write those down before I forget them. All right, looks like the questions are slowing down. And so I'm just reading this question here. I have this, so this is from Jeff about segmentation. How can he prove to someone that segmentation is powerful? I have this slide that I don't bring up the percentage, but basically it says marketers have seen a blank increase in email ROI by using segmentation. Now there's still a bunch of people on this call. Give it some guesses. So if you're going to use segmentation, how much of a percentage of improvement for ROI from email marketing can you get by using segmentation? I need a couple guesses. This is gated content, folks. I'm a marketer at heart. Just need a couple guesses here because I want to see if what always happens remains to be true. Mary said 75%, 15% from Jeff. All right, let's, as marketers, we are normally thought to think in double digits. Let's try triple digits. John, who is a colleague, hit it on the nose, and I wonder why. 125 from Helen. John's he's got some bias because he's seen this slide. But Helen, you've gotten the closest, but it's actually 760%. I don't have the I'm trying to remember who it's according to. John, do you know that one? So you knew that, but do you know who we need to attribute it to? But I would say search for segmentation, 760% increase ROI. It'll give you who actually is accredited to that. And then I would shoot that back to your clients or whoever you're talking to. Because if you send the right person segmentation, the right message, right, the crafted beautifully, valuable content at the right time using automation, that's the trio right there that increases your email ROI and your results. Should always be using segmentation. I'm going to add in split testing or experiments. Then you want to send valuable information and then use automation to make sure you're hitting people at the right time. Well, everybody's saying thank you. I'm going to give you 7 minutes back in your day to get ready for whatever you have coming up next. Hopefully it's not another Zoom webinar. I appreciate you allowing me to give you all these tools today. We will follow up with as much information as possible. And there's a few folks I'll follow with on one-on-one, and it's great. So tune in for our next webinar, yet to be determined. Until then, keep zooming along, folks.